I once spent 30 minutes staring at a 30-inch box at the gym, just standing there, psyching myself up and then psyching myself right back out. My body was physically capable. I had the strength, I had the power, I had the technique, but my mind kept replaying every possible way I could fail. Also, if you've ever missed a box jump, you know that your shins are never the same. But finally, after a half hour of this mental battle, I did it. I jumped and I made it. What I learned is my body was ready way before my mind was. But that 30 minutes wasn't wasted. It wasn't weakness or overthinking. My nervous system needed that time to feel safe enough to attempt something that felt risky. And in business, we face these moments constantly: the scary offer, the price increase, the pivot that feels like, well, jumping onto a 30-inch box. And we beat ourselves up for hesitating or for needing time to build up to it or for not just doing it afraid. But what if your nervous system isn't holding you back? What if it's trying to protect you? But we also know we can't make progress if we stay in that 30-minute loop forever. My guest today is Lexi Reid, and she's a creative wellness coach and founder of Mind Art Wellness and Lexi Reid Studio. She helps entrepreneurs understand the difference between a nervous system that needs support to take the leap and one that's so overtrained that it can't trust itself anymore. But before we get to chatting, every episode kicks off with a listener question in a segment called, Hey Coach. So, what would you ask if you had a business coach in your back pocket? Submit your question to Leslie@thefitnessofbusiness.com. Hey Coach, I know I need to raise my prices. I'm undercharging and I'm burning out, but it makes me so uneasy. Every time I'm about to send the email out about it, I freeze up and I second guess myself. Do I just need to build more confidence first? Or is there another way to get to the other side of this? Well, Lexi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to hear your answer to that question.
Oh, I have to answer it? Ooh, no, that's what you're here for.
Is that what I'm here for?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna yeah, let's just start there. I
Sure.
really wanna get into your background because it's fascinating, your career trajectory, but I would love to hear your answer to this question, and we can kinda work backwards.
Well, definitely. And it's something that as coaches we all face, right? Like what is a price that feels comfortable in our body but still recognizes our value? And it's interesting. This is a conversation I have with my clients, with my business coach, and definitely I think in order to be a good coach, it's good to get coaching as well from
Oh, I
inside and outside.
completely agree. Yes.
Yeah, and it's yeah, and I remember being asked this question when I first started getting, clients, and she's like, "Well, pick a price that feels comfortable, then edge it a little higher and then a little higher until you're like, oh, that's too much." And it's gonna be different for everybody, right? Like but we often do undercharge what we're worth, which is why so many people do lots of free coaching, right? And it's ordered to, like the fitness, it's ordered to get the reps, right? Until it's a muscle memory.
Yeah.
And I think making those offers and just putting and the other thing that I was told is basically state the price,
Mm.
then zip it.
Yes, which is really hard when, somebody pushes back a little bit. "Ooh, would you go a little bit lower?" And you're like, "Ugh, I do I really need the business or should I stay firm in my boundaries?" And it's tough, especially when you're first starting.
And I had that when I used to sell art as well. Like,
Mm.
you'd set up your booth, you'd hang all your art, you start having customers, potential customers coming in. And then, they're the folks that sort of look at the price and sort of you can sort of see that, almost instant recoil of, oh, is that what it's worth? And say,
Yeah,
oh, well, yeah, that's in my mind, that's what it's worth.
yeah.
And you have to be okay with letting those people go. Like you wouldn't make it as an artist if you suddenly lowered your price every time somebody said, "Well, that's too expensive." It's like, well, but the next person who walks into the tent could say that's perfect and I'll take two,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, yeah. But you have to be okay with letting go as well.
yeah. So, what does that mean to you and when you're coaching clients? Like, both being okay with letting go and also being okay with staying firm in the price that you choose and, like, owning the value of it.
Again, it's having confidence that what you bring is unique, right? If you think of art, it's one of a kind. You bring your coaching, it's one of a kind, it has all your experience rolled into one. And you have to be okay that, much like with artwork, there is a unique buyer there for your work, but it's not the only buyer, right? That's the trick is being okay with that. Um, but yeah, I would say if you're doing like consults, if you're, obviously doing a lot of consulting work, you don't want to do the hard sell because there's that always that edge of, desperation. And that comes across, right? Like nobody likes being sold to.
Mm-hmm.
We've or especially with the Christmas season here, it's the
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
You
Aren't
get
I buying enough things?
yeah, exactly. It's like you walk into the store, it's like even if you were just looking, you almost feel like you need to put a sign on saying, "I'm just looking."
Right. Right. Yes. And don't make eye contact, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So to our listener and her question, like, maybe what are some tips that you would tell her? She's been in business for a while. She knows she needs to raise her prices because what she's doing is unsustainable. And so, how would you even approach that conversation with her?
Well, I guess do a little bit of market research. So, definitely see if you have likely other people in your, arena, competitors, comparators, get a sense of what is being sold and what you put the value. And if you think, oh, I've got twice as much value as that person, well, there's an indicator, right? Um, but it can be tricky if you're, have a more unique niche, right? So um, definitely, but I would start with the market research. That's the low hanging fruit
Yeah,
to get a sense of things.
agreed. Um, do you ever direct people to Chat GPT or to AI in this context?
It's challenging because it's gonna be pulling from such a wide parameters, like, unless you put really distinct parameters, and you have to do that. You would have to say, you'd almost have to do the market research for it, saying,
Mhm.
"These are the comparators. Based on what I've told you, can you give me pros and cons of," based on but you'd have to give it parameters to work with because, yeah, otherwise it's just gonna be spitballing,
Yeah.
which is never great with ChatGPT.
Right. Right. Yeah. Like, yes, ChatGPT thinks I can charge, I think, I don't know, $3,000 an hour or something. So, no, I'm totally making that up. But that would be pretty great.
That would be pretty
That
great.
would be pretty great. All right. All right.
Think he'd
I'll train it.
retire today then at that rate,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I think we're done. Um, okay, let's go back a little bit, and I would love for you to talk about your history, your career history, how you got to uh sort of the career space that you're in now.
Sure. So, yeah, as we talked about, I've been an artist ever since I was little. However, when I was looking at university, my parents strongly recommended that I go into something that can get me a real job.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
I
of
went into
course.
science, which is debatable now, but science seemed like a good path at the time. And I did the academic ladder. I did biology, I did a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD, a postdoc. So I did pretty much everything there was. And, I used to joke with the other postdocs in our tiny shared office. They stuffed, I think, 8 of us into something that was the size of a closet.
My gosh.
Yes. And yeah. And the job of the postdoc is to find the next job, right? Because it's contracts, it's grant money, they're
Mhm.
limited gigs. And we joked, they call it research because we just keep redoing it over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And I got tired of that. I got tired of redoing experiments. So I went and worked for a not for profit for a number of years. And then from there, that led me to working for the federal government. I was a grants reviewer. So I was evaluating and giving out money to the folks doing the research.
Yeah.
And that led me to a consulting corporate gig where I was writing proposals. And then I transitioned internally into their quality and regulatory department. So again, looking at a lot of documentation, working with the engineers, very, technically detailed. And I started during the pandemic. That's when it hit me is the burnout. Um, our company had won quite a large contract from the Canadian government to build emergency ventilators. So this was back before vaccines were really available. So there was ton of pressure to get these out in the hands of Canadians because we thought that's all there is. So I was working from home like everybody else. I had kids at home, one in middle school, one in just starting high school. And I was working 24/7 trying to basically help get these, ventilators out the door, let alone juggle a family life. And I hit burnout.
Mm.
I didn't know what it was. Like, it wasn't until when you're in it, you don't know it until you're
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
Um, and at that time, I couldn't even make art. I was, like, blocked.
Mm.
I was emotionally blocked, physically blocked, mentally blocked. And it wasn't until I started, you laugh, but simply just doodling on a piece of paper during a Zoom call, and I could feel the tension coming out, and I thought,
Mm.
"This is interesting." And
Yeah.
I started doing some more reading into art therapy, and that led me into coaching and mindset, and I started basically building this creative wellness toolkit, and that's what led me into coaching. So I work with women in STEM, science, tech, engineering, and math, who have either dealt with burnout, come out the other side of burnout, or know they're heading into burnout,
Mm.
and they're looking to get what I call a creative reset.
Yeah.
So and that's what the name
Huh.
of my program is. So
Yeah.
it's been a journey, and being an entrepreneur is a whole other learning thing, you
Uh-huh.
know,
Constant, yes.
constant. Yep, all the balls, all the
Research,
juggling.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so in retrospect, you said you weren't able to recognize the signs of burnout, as they were happening. In retrospect now, what would you say were some of those signs?
Definitely looking back, it's almost like textbook case. Like I was, you know, getting more and more tired, but I couldn't sleep at night. My brain wouldn't, turn off. So there was the racing thoughts. There was the panicky waking up at 2 a.m. Then there was the feeling I need to triple check everything because I was beginning to get fuzzy around the edges about details
Hmm.
and second guessing whether I had replied to the email or, done the project. Like it was just everything started feeling like it was beginning to just unravel. And then as that was happening, I was also getting more almost numb to it, like going on autopilot.
Mm.
And the other part was also family side. Like I was just, I think, obviously sleep deprived, but I was
Yeah.
just so irritable. Like I was just snapping at everything. And it was just like there's just a gray fog over everything. Like
Mhm.
it's strange when you look back at it because it's like when you're in it, you're so numb and yeah, it was a lot, like and I've had a few, clients who I've talked to who've had it so far down, like, they were having hair come out,
Mm.
their
Oh, yeah.
fingernails started, like, just getting really f like, just interesting how stress shows up in the body. Some couldn't eat anymore, some people couldn't stop eating.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
you feel that there's something wrong, and you just start trying to self-medicate almost, like, start to drink more because maybe that'll help me sleep. Oh, no, that's not helping me sleep,
Yeah.
and yeah, just lots of not healthy things happening.
Yeah. And I think like one sort of symptom begets another. And if you don't start to recognize those things, I mean, that's why my whole approach is so holistic. Like, you have to have this balance, in every component of your life in order to run a successful business because it's not just about, what the financial statements show. Um, because if you're experiencing, the hypervigilance around returning emails or details on certain things, I mean, yeah, it's really, really easy to start to spiral.
Well, definitely, like, a lot of my clients, and I've worked with women very early in their career, like, just getting into their PhD, getting into med school, and then I've had the mid-career where it's almost like an existential crisis. It's like, I'm halfway through my life. Do I want to keep doing this? Like, I'm successful, but do I want to keep doing this for another 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
And then I've also worked with women like myself who've had a number of different careers and are starting their own business. And now they're second guessing because there's no safety net, right? And who's going to believe me as the expert, right? So
Yeah.
I've worked with the gambit and, a lot of the stresses are similar. There's inability to have boundaries. There's the toxic relationships, the people pleaser, the perfectionist. Like there's just, and they come up in different ways in different aspects throughout the
Mhm.
career trajectory, but
Yep.
they do keep coming up. Those themes. The inner mean girl is another one that comes up a lot. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're a very close relative to imposter syndrome.
Yes. Like kissing
Right.
cousins. Yes.
Yes, I think so, or siblings probably.
Yes. Probably siblings. That's a good way of
Probably.
putting it. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, it's like you just rattled off every episode I've done and plan to do because it is so it doesn't seem to matter, and I've now interviewed people in so many different industries, and yet the commonalities of um, these traits and these, insecurities, it's just it's very universal, which, there's comfort in that, and at the same time, it's like, "Oh, man. Okay, so what are we to do about it?" Which is where you come in.
Which is where I come in. And it's funny because it's a niche where, obviously I'm working with women who are very high achievers, they're very detail oriented, they're very data focused, they're empirically evidence driven, right? And so, a lot of them, like I'm starting to get a number of testimonials as people have completed my creative reset program. And, I always ask, what was the barrier to, start with me? And they said, time, no time, right? How do I do another thing? How do I justify taking time to be creative? What if I'm not creative? What if I'm not artistic, right?
Mhm,
And what's interesting is that, obviously the first thing I say is, look, it's these exercises are short. And if you can't squeeze it into your day at all to spend time on yourself, there's some problems, right? And the interesting thing, almost universally, after they finish the program, is like, I spent the time trying to figure out what I needed, and that gave me more time.
mhm. Yeah.
And the reason it gave them more time is because they learned where to set the boundaries. They learned where to ask for help. They learned where it was okay to say no. But when you go on autopilot because you're in survival mode, you don't take time to actually make those decisions and go, is this working for me? Right? You just
Yep.
keep on working.
Yep.
And the creative aspect is a different tool. Like you could go out into the woods and commune with nature. This is another way of tapping into a subconscious part that, you know, we do a lot of exercises where, like, I'll give you one example from the exercise. It's
Yeah,
called the
please.
bridge. And basically, you draw where you're at on one side of the shore, and then you draw where you want to get to on the other side of the shore. And you can symbolize that however you like, the sort of the current stage and the future stage. And then you get to draw a bridge of any type, and you get to draw whatever obstacles are facing you under the bridge. And what's interesting is, you know, most of the women could draw any type of bridge. Like if you think of all the bridges in the world, you think of the Golden Gate Bridge, you think of stone bridges, big, thick, heavy bridges. Almost all of them would draw the ricketiest bridge with wooden planks missing and not even ropes. And
Oh my gosh. The
yeah, exactly.
daredevils.
Like, yeah. And, and then they would draw these raging rapids beneath them under the bridge. One person drew a troll. Like it was just really like, and, they had all this stuff stuffed on one side of the shore, like baggage here and
No, no,
boxes there
no.
and clouds, and then on the far side of the shore would be, like, sunshine and a beach and maybe the mountains, right?
Yeah, sleep.
Yeah, sleep, exactly, a hammock.
Yeah, yeah.
But and what's funny is, I'd ask them, after they'd sort of done these exercises, and I'm like, "Well, what comes to mind when you look at it?" And one woman's like, "Why didn't I draw more planks on my bridge? Why did I don't even swim. Why do I have rapids under there?" Like, and it's
Yeah.
just funny, like, they're realizing, one of the women said, "I'm the troll. I'm getting in my own way." Like, it's but until you actually take time to reflect and just let it loose, yeah, you don't really get a chance to sort of do that inner reflection a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you're also referring to, and this is, a challenge that I certainly face when trying to figure out what are the barriers to, get people to want to sign up for coaching, is that they don't know what they need. They're too busy, and this is, and not a knock against them. This is just they're too busy putting out the fires and just trying to stay afloat or trying to climb up onto the bridge that they can't possibly see a way around, like, getting out of their own way. And so it sounds like this creative avenue of being able to actually articulate it via a drawing, it's really cool.
It taps into a different part of your brain, like,
Mm.
yeah, like, some people find journaling really effective, but
Yep.
for me, you know, I think in pictures, right? Like, and
Mm.
a lot of the clients I work with, I'm like, "If you can do Pictionary, you're fine," because it's more about symbols, right? Like, pick things that mean something to you, like, whether it's a sunshine, whether it's a heart, like, they're, like, visual shorthands, like this,
Mhm.
or colors, that's the other one, like,
Yeah.
I say just start with pen and paper, whatever easiest, but you'll start finding that you get drawn to colors because intuitively you're like, "No, I'm having a really crappy, dark, gray day, and I just
Mhm.
want to scribble it out." And then other people are like, "I'm having a great day, and it's like sunshine and rainbows." And
Yeah.
so, and it's personal, right? Like it's your own personal imagery that comes up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm curious. Um, so, from all of your education, it seems like is rooted in hard skills, like learning skill. I mean, science, right? Like data, evidence, research, but yet obviously with the creative angle because you've always been artistic. So, how did you like learn the soft skills that it takes to be a coach?
It's very much that sense of being empathetic, but not too empathetic,
Mhm.
right? Like there's that point where you want to listen, and listening is obviously the biggest skill in being a coach. But listening for where the patterns are, listening where the gaps are, listening for what's not being said.
Mhm.
Um, like I had done a number of public speaking gigs. Like I worked in business development. I had to go and present about the grants. I had to train people how to write the grants. So it's all about communication. So, but that didn't necessarily train me how to ask the right questions, right?
Right.
And so much of coaching, I think, comes down to, yeah, building that safe space, neutral safe space, but letting, and again, it also comes down to the coach only should be talking about 20% of the time
Mhm.
at most, I would say, like, and
Yeah.
having to be okay with sitting in silence to let the person continue talking,
Yeah.
which I don't know how many business meetings I've been into, but nobody lets dead air like that, just like they
Yeah.
almost talk over each other very quickly. And,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
you don't wanna be the one sitting on the sidelines, right? Like, "Oh, this is my idea, and I'm gonna throw it out there." Whereas with coaching, it's like, "No, it's not about you, it's about the person in front of you." And,
Mhm.
that takes time, I think, to learn that skill as well.
Yeah. Which is why I think it's really interesting that it seems as though, and maybe this is just because this is like the world that I'm a part of, that so many people who are now coaching are in their second careers. It's like you can't learn those skills. You can't just, go to school and learn how to listen. It takes experience and to develop that empathy and that relatability. And so I think like as you're saying that, I'm like, wow, come to think of it, most people I know who are good coaches are later in their careers. I'll just say that. I won't say older, but they're not right out of college.
Experienced. We'll just go with experience.
Experience, worldly. Yes.
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 Well, and I think the other thing that makes good coaches is those life experiences where we've failed and we've had to recover, right? Like the best way you learn is by fixing your mistakes. And it's hard.
Yes.
Like, and that's where it's going back to your, fitness training. It builds resilience. It builds confidence in yourself that, okay, I totally screwed that up. Let me figure out how to fix that and not do it again, or at least not fail the same way, right? You're
Right.
supposed to fail often and fail differently.
Yes. But if you can't make that 30-inch box jump, man, just stop trying because your portions.
Well, and at least you gave it, you gave it the college try. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I learned to downhill ski later in life. Like I think I was maybe 12 or 13. and I never got confident in it, and yet,
Mm.
my family members, they would all go skiing regularly, and then I'm like, "You know what? I'm okay with this. I'm gonna go cross country. I'll be at the bottom of the mountain, skiing around the mountain, looking at the
Yeah.
countryside, and I'll be at the top," and
Yeah.
I made my peace with that. So, you can try things, and then you also have to figure out what you're comfortable with, right? So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
what brings you joy? It's
Yeah,
like, why who are you skiing for?
right.
But that does take, that confidence that comes with being able to, like, really understand what it is that makes you happy, and who cares what other people think.
And be okay to go out on your own. Like, that was the
Yes.
other thing is that I had to be okay of going, "Okay, I'm gonna go over here, and you guys are gonna go over there, and then we'll meet back again, and it's
Mhm.
fine," right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not mad at you.
I'm not storming off into the woods by myself,
Yes,
no.
that's right, or maybe I am, but that's
Or
just,
maybe I am,
'cause I'm
but yeah,
tired, yeah.
yeah.
Quick pause. I was that kid in school whose notes everyone wanted to borrow before the test. Color coded, organized, the whole deal. I'm still doing it, but now for entrepreneurship instead of AP Bio. My Substack is basically me sharing my notes with you. The podcast gives you the big ideas. My Substack shows you how to implement them. Step by step guides, templates, and real stories from the trenches. Subscribe for free at leslieboyce.substack.com. That's LESLIEBOYCE. And let's take this from theory into practice. Because knowing you should hit the gym and actually getting there to do the reps are two very different things. Well, like, how do people find you? How do most people find you, or you find them, just because you're in such a specific and interesting niche? Yeah, what's your process?
Well, definitely talking on podcasts, that's a
Yep.
great way of growing my audience. I'm very active on LinkedIn, which is interesting for me because up until I went on my own entrepreneurial journey, I'd only ever promoted my company,
Mhm.
right? I worked for a company, I shared their posts.
Yep.
I was very much in the background. I was just, a cog in the machine, and definitely learning to present content, right?
Yeah.
Like learning how to generate content. Full stop.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And finding what message landed and what didn't, and then hopefully doing more of what landed and doing less of what didn't. And I think the other challenge for me was embracing my new career and being able to show up as that person, because obviously everyone up until then in LinkedIn had seen me as, super scientist person, right? And now she's this creative person. Like,
Yeah.
so I had to show how it's still me. It's just me doing this thing now.
Hmm.
And, everyone talks about being authentic, and I had to be okay with that too. It's like, yeah, I'm still a scientist, and an artist, and now I'm a coach, right? Like,
Mhm.
these are all parts and parcels of me.
Right.
But
And they
yeah,
have all helped to guide me to this
yeah,
spot.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the type of coach I am today had it not been for those influences and me trying to marry art and science together.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's tricky when it's, a niche, it's not a common niche, right? Because you're kind of inventing it as you go along
Yeah.
as well.
Right. Which, like, also sort of coincides with creating the content, because with the ever-changing algorithms and, visibility on various platforms, it's like everything has to be evolving at all times, and you have to have, like, a finger on the pulse of seemingly everything, and yeah.
And that's the challenge, because I think for me, like, yes, I would love to be on all the platforms, but I also knew that path lies to burnout real
Yeah.
fast.
Yes. Very
And
fast.
and I had to sort of make peace, you know, build my presence on LinkedIn. Then,
Mhm.
yes, I started a YouTube channel. I've let it be dormant for a little bit because I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth to do it the way I'd
Yep.
like to do it. It'll be there. I'll pick it up again later on, right? And I had to be okay with making those concessions. Like, yes, I would love to be pumping YouTube videos out. Like, I have no shortage of ideas, but I honestly know it takes time to film, it takes time
Mhm,
to edit, it takes time
mhm.
to upload.
Yep, all of it.
Yep, all of it.
Yeah,
So I had to make peace with concessions, right? So it's like, no, I do my LinkedIn, I do my newsletter, and I reach out to podcasts, right?
yeah,
So, and that's, one day I'd love to have my own podcast, but again, it's bandwidth. It's picking those battles, right?
yes. Right, and I think, like, that is advice that I just keep hearing reinforced over and over, from marketing experts and others, but and content experts. It's better to show up consistently and with quality content on a couple of platforms than try to cast a wide net and reach everybody because then everything is diluted at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, you're just one tiny voice in a sea.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I mentioned earlier I was at this networking event this morning
Mhm.
and I had a couple of women say, I feel like I know you. And I'm looking at them and they're looking at me and she's like, no, I've read your stuff on LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh, it's working,
Cool.
which is kind of cool. They're just like, I feel like a celebrity now.
It's
So,
funny you say that because I just started uploading some shorts to YouTube, because like, I have them, and I just, like, was something I didn't really know to do, and then I started doing it, and I think my first one got, like, 1,500 views in a day,
amazing.
and I was like, "Have I gone viral?" I haven't. But it is like, "Oh, you just need these little nuggets, to, like, just build your confidence and validate, like, okay, I don't need to reach everybody, but hey, here's a few people that remember me because of something I said."
Yeah,
It's pretty
exactly.
cool.
Like, and the other thing that my business coach kept trying to remind me, she's like, you don't need to be for everyone. You just need to be for the right person. And it's like, and she said, think of how many, things that you've lurked in the background and been reading and you've been their biggest fan, but they have no idea who you are because you've never reached out to them. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of those that I follow, right? Because you follow and you're interested and you read their content. But it was like, "Oh, but you're right. There's a lot of those folks." And she's like, "Well, now just imagine they're reading your stuff." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah. Okay."
Yeah.
So,
I know, which is you need someone else to tell you, which is where a coach comes in to have that, objective perspective of, hey, just because, they're not commenting on everything doesn't mean they're not there.
right.
I think that's really helpful. Um, Kind of going back to your, you know, rebuilding, I guess, your brand to be more of your personal brand and you on various platforms. I just did a episode about like identity as it relates to your business title, and I just wonder how you have navigated that. I mean, you've got impressive credentials behind your name that I'm sure or came in very handy. Um, but probably aren't quite as relevant for the type of clients you're trying to attract now, or are there? I guess how do you work around that?
Well, I made a deliberate choice on LinkedIn to add the PhD after my name. So when it comes up, because I'm trying to reach out to other women in science and technology, and so that's sort of my street credibility, right?
I'm
It's a
a
quick at hand. Oh yeah, she's like, I don't have to explain what a PhD is. People know
Yes.
what it is, right? It may not be in the field that's the same as them, but there's enough of a similarity to say I'm part of your tribe,
Yep.
I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely. Yeah.
It's a shorthand, right? Um, but yeah, the next step of that bridge of am I for you? Yes, that takes time to build that trust and rapport and much of it is just continuing to show up and provide value, and I'd like to do more of that, like, I would like to do more almost, you know, tidbits of coaching, tidbits of art, tidbits of things that people can get, that a quick win with, and all that does take time, but I have an idea for content libraries that I'd like to develop that people could sort of self-serve, but yeah, that takes time and that's an aspirational goal.
Right. Yeah. So I guess sort of in that same realm, like as entrepreneurs, we are constantly sort of bombarded with this pressure to scale and grow and, be the next, multi whatever $1 million coach. And um, that's not everybody's goal. That's not everybody's aspiration. So um, I guess, yeah, where do you fall in that? You know, eh, Maintaining those personal connections and coaching relationships, like, what's your definition of scaling?
Yeah, for me, it's funny because I piloted my program in the summer to try out the curriculum, and I started with women one-on-one because I wanted that deeper feedback, and the idea was to transition to group. I designed the program to be a group program, but I thought, "Okay, I better try it initially individually," and what I found personally satisfying was those one-on-one relationships because you got really deep into the coaching. And when, they all sort of finished around the same time, it was like I broke up with 12, you know, women. It was very like and and I'm coming to the end of my first, group cohort, and again, I'm gonna have that sense of, "Oh, I'm breaking up with another group of women," and
Mhm.
it's hard, but it also shows, we built a relationship, we built a rapport, and I'm getting these terrific testimonials, which, as you know, for marketing is just gold. Because it shows the value that they got out of working with me. And I keep thinking, like, this is what I want to use going forward. As you said, building content, building that awareness, and coming to scaling. What I want to do for my business going forward is somehow I want to figure out that balance of keeping some one on one clients for that deeper relationship and have the group. And maybe it's a combination, maybe it's a membership. It's like I hadn't really entertained that idea, and it was like, "Oh, maybe there's a way that I can mix and match." And because
Mhm.
there's so many different ways of making revenue in coaching
Yeah.
and, but again, I have to pace myself and go, "Okay, like, you know, you can't do all the things all at once, right?" Like I do have to baby steps it
Yeah.
a bit.
Well, right. The blessing and the curse of the
Yes.
creative minds, of the entrepreneur, of, everything sounds like a good idea, but
Yes.
there's only so many hours in the day and so many people who are going to actually purchase that that great
Well, it
idea.
exactly, like, if I could spend all my time marketing to a small audience, and sure, but eventually it's like, "Okay, I've talked to everybody," like, it's that balance of growing your audience and then working on the people still in your, orbit, basically.
Right.
A
Yeah.
and that's a
Nurturing.
balance as well too, like, do you go out, panning for gold, or do you nurture who you've got? And, you know, uh, again, you have to sort of it's like seasonal, you have to sort of figure out, are you hunting or are you gathering? Like, are you farming? Are you yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. Or are you doing both? And
right.
like, how much energy do you put towards one versus the other? And what's the most effective way to nurture? Um, yeah. And it's just a constant research project,
It is.
experimentation. Yes.
It is very much like, yeah, I get to wear my scientist hat all the time. I get to wear
Yes.
my artist creative hat all the time. It's a blessing and a curse, right? Like all of those things, right? Like you could, I have an idea for a book I'd like to write. I have, like it's just the idea generation is endless. It's just again how much time and effort and payoff, and sometimes it's not an immediate payoff. Sometimes it's plant the seed and wait for a few years, right? So it's trying to have all of those projects spaced out, just for those, risk reward down the road.
Right. You'd mentioned the signs that you would now recognize in retrospect that you were, burning out. Do you feel like the signs are similar enough for everybody that you're able to kind of have a protocol that is a little bit more universal, or how do you like personalize that?
It's Yeah, I would say it's definitely more there are similarities, there's trends, as we said, like, there are certain topics that come up and again, but how they show up in the individual, I would say, is a bit different, and that's gonna
Mm.
come down to family support, work environments, right? Like, there's gonna be certain levers that are different that are gonna trigger those things. So it's very, it's like saying, "Yeah, diet and exercise, you'll lose weight." Great. What does that mean
Right.
for me,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Is it keto? Is it the zone? Is it this, right? Like, it's yeah. So you do have to tailor it to the person, and that's gonna come up with working with them, right?
Mhm.
Like, you're not gonna be able to help them solve all their problems after 3 coaching sessions, like,
Yeah.
we know that, right? You could give them, they could go to ChatGPT and it'll answer all their questions, but it you know,
For
but it doesn't.
$3,500 an hour,
Y
yes.
Yeah, exactly, but it's not gonna help you as the person move forward, right? So yeah, it's very different having a strategy versus just a framework, right? Like,
Right.
everyone can have a framework. I need to eat less, exercise more, sleep more. Like, we know what's good for us,
Mhm.
but we don't necessarily know how to make it work for us.
Yeah. It's I feel like I have this conversation with at least 3 people a week where we talk about it's the strategy is not effective without the implementation
Right.
and the ongoing support and implementation and yeah,
And iteration,
and
because that's the
iteration,
other
yes.
thing,
Mhm.
because what might have worked for a few weeks, suddenly you see that with, I used to be a runner and a trail runner,
Mm.
and you'd hit plateaus, right? Run, run, run. I'm not getting any faster. I can't go any further. And then you'd have to change something in your regime to get up past that plateau.
Yeah.
And that's the same with, work and creating a business. It's like what was working. Yeah, well, this whole year has been an interesting roller coaster of things. I'm sure
Yes, yes, you
20.
don't even live here, and yes.
Oh, we watch very keenly from
Oh,
our side of the border.
I'm sure, how nice for you, yeah.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, we may all come move in with you.
we've heard that, yes. So, yeah, there's, all bets are off, right? Like, it's kinda like, "Oh, well, that was working a few months ago, but that doesn't even exist anymore,
Right.
so let's figure out what the next thing is."
Yeah. What are some of the areas where you struggle personally with implementing some of the practices that you sort of, engage with your clients?
Well, definitely how you run one thing is how you run all things. So, and my husband makes fun of me for this, but basically, I start a new, let's say, a new diet or a new workout, and I am gung ho for those first 2, 3 weeks, and I am following the plan, and I've got the meals pre made, and then something throws a spanner in the works, and then suddenly you're like, "Oh, I've missed one workout. Oh, it's fine. I'll miss the next one. Oh,
Mm.
no, three," and suddenly you're like, "Wow, 3 weeks have gone by and I haven't, like, done anything." And
Yeah.
I'm starting over again, right? And
Mm.
it's and what I've slowly learning is I have to pace myself, right?
Mhm.
Like, you can't just jump into marathon training, right? It's the, "Okay, maybe I'll do the learn to walk clinic. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
do the learn to run clinic. Maybe I'll do the 5K clinic. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll do the 10K clinic, and maybe I'll work my way up to the half marathon, and then maybe I'll work my way up to the marathon," right? As opposed to just saying, "I'm just gonna go run a marathon," and just, you know,
Yeah.
no wonder my body says no.
Fun fun fact, I did that when I was 23. I was
Fun
like,
fact.
fun fact, I think I should do a marathon." And I did, and I trained, and my body was so mad, and I lost, like, all my toenails, and it was, uh-huh, check check it off the list and said, "Never again." So, yes, I can very much relate to that.
I made it to the half. That is, and I realized after running for 2.5 hours that I'm like, it's as long as I need to ever run for."
Sure.
I was like,
Even
"Check
that.
that box."
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I don't know. It's like I love a challenge, but it's like, okay, a little extreme.
Well, and I think when you do things like that, you have to love the training for the training's sake, right? It's If you don't love the training as part of your life, it's never gonna be part of your life, and, to take it back to the business thing is if you don't enjoy the aspects of running your business, then it's not gonna work, right? So, and give yourself time to enjoy parts of your business. I think that's the other thing. It's like, you know, I have one of my strategies that I am trying to do more effectively is batch create.
Mm.
And because that gives myself breathing space. I've done a bunch, I've written a couple of newsletters ahead of time. I've written, some LinkedIn posts. I've done some videos and then I can breathe a little bit. So I don't know. I'm good with gardening that way too. It's like, okay, I'm going to plant a bunch of bulbs and
Mhm.
then I can rest and they'll just grow,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, so that's how you've sort of figured out the system to because it's a little bit like Fast and Furious when you're
yes.
batch anything, but you're making it work in this context, so
And it's time limited. Like there's a defined, I will do 5 blog posts, then stop, not
yeah,
like forever, right? And I
right.
think that's the other thing too, is giving myself set quantities,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Um, I wanted to know how you pitch when you're, looking to take on new clients, and you've asked, like, "What's the biggest barrier?" And they said, "Time." Like, how do you pitch the ROI to them when then it's just that, they're taking sort of that leap of faith in that they will get it back because time is, how do you quantify? I mean, I guess you can quantify time, but how do you pitch that?
Yeah, well, and it's definitely now that I'm having, more people come through the program, like, it's not just me saying it, right? Like, that's the nice thing is when you see somebody else who you can relate to and go, "Oh my god, that's where I was," right?
Yeah.
So, definitely, I'm getting much more and the women I work with like proof, right? Like,
Mm,
they're scientists,
right.
they're technology people, right? Like, they like evidence, and sure, I can say all the wonderful things, but that's why I wanted to have these case studies, right? So I can say, "You can listen to me, and I will tell you all the reasons you're gonna get your time back, and it's not even just time back, it's gonna be better quality time spent, and you're gonna actually feel better about yourself, and it's gonna and you you will get better sleep, and you will have
Mhm.
better relations with your family, but it will take work, and you have to be willing to do the work." And these other women have gone through and they've done the work and they've got the results, right? Like it's the whole reason, we often look at before and after pictures, right? Like here's the house looking like crap, here's the model remake. Here's,
Yeah.
the way in before and the way in after.
Yeah.
We like seeing those before and afters. It tells a very compelling visual story as
Mhm.
well, right? So,
Right.
and
And it's
yeah.
objective when you cannot be about your own.
Well,
Like,
exactly. Like, I can go off and, say all the most wonderful things, and which is why you build rapport and authenticity, and people want to believe you because you're authentic and true, but it does help when other people say the same things,
yes.
but it's
Yes.
not you.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you're not even paying them.
exactly, right, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and the way they say it is very realistic because it's how it worked for them,
Right.
right?
Right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
because
that
that's the other question that comes up is, well, why maybe it worked for you, but you're an artist, da, 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 right? And it's like, well, this
exactly.
woman's not an artist, and it worked for her,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of before and after houses, tell me about this house you are building. And
Well,
and also when we can move in.
so to put it into context, my husband and I have been looking for property for quite some time, and we're kayakers, so we were
Mm.
kayaking, and it was raining and foggy and miserable, and he's like, "Let's just paddle past the property so we can take a look at it," and I was like, "Okay." And I'm so cold and so wet, I was like, "I just wanna go home now."
Yeah.
But we paddled by this property, so I'm on Vancouver Island, and we have a neighboring island called Salt Spring, so to get to it's like a little 25-minute ferry ride across, and Salt Spring is renowned for kind of being a hippie granola vibe to it. It's very laid back, think California, San Francisco kind of vibe, but
And
on an island in,
yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
But yeah, this property, it's south facing, so it gets a ton of sunlight.
Mm.
It's right on the ocean. It's also protected forest, and yeah. but right now it is a hill of mud because we've had an excavator on site,
Oh,
and
okay, but you're starting to do the thing.
we are doing the thing. We
Mm,
pulled the trigger, we signed, the building contracts, and
wow.
yeah, we are taking down trees and moving things around, and it's gonna be one of these West Coast modern, all glass facing the ocean,
Oh, it
you
sounds
know?
awful. Sounds
Yeah,
awful, yeah.
yeah, my little office and my art studio will be, like, ground floor walkout right to the water. So, yeah, I picture, I'd love to have VIP retreats there. That's something down the road that I think, it would be really cool to offer, and it's like I have to pace myself because it doesn't exist to offer, but that's the vision I have, is that I would love to bring women there for a retreat for a weekend.
Mhm. Retreats seem to be, like, really gaining a lot of traction lately. I know they were, popular before COVID, and it
Yeah,
just feels like all
before
the
COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
before COVID. I was actually, like, really actively looking to do one, like, right before COVID, and it's also, kind of a long-term goal of mine. I mean, the ability to be in person and to just have those conversations and, like, just physically be in the same space, there I you can't replicate it.
Well, no, like, just imagine yourself, you're on
Mhm.
my property,
Okay.
we can go down and walk by the ocean, have, breakfast down there, we come up, we do a couple of things in my studio, we break for lunch, maybe we go for a walk in the woods, we come back to the studio, do a few more things, and then have dinner on the deck and stare at the sunset over the ocean. Like,
And if you need me to come and teach some workout classes too, you
we could
know,
do yeah, honestly, that would be super fun, and the idea is you can go paddleboarding off there and
oh,
yeah, whatever.
man, I'm in. I'm totally in. Yeah, book me a room.
Perfect.
Okay.
When it's built, you know
Yeah, okay, yeah,
you know,
fine, fine,
in the
okay.
time being, we have, like, a 25-foot trailer that we've borrowed, gonna be put on site while we build the house, so I'm like, "Wow, I'm gonna be
Wow.
homeless and living in a trailer soon once we sell this place." So,
Holy cow, alright, well, it'll be worth it. Sounds like
it
it'll
will
be
be
worth
worth
it.
it,
Sounds
and that's
amazing.
I think that's part of also being a coach is you can envision the future, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can see the goals for our clients, we can see our own goals, right? So I have a pretty good vision of myself in my new space. But yeah,
Yeah.
right now it is a hill of mud. So,
Yeah, not in the vision.
not yet.
Talk a little bit about your is it a 5-day reset? Sorry, I don't wanna misquote it.
Yeah, so it's a free 5-day creative reset challenge, but it's really not much of a challenge. It's fun, right? It's via email. Each day you get a little video prompt and a couple of things to sort of journal about. And yeah, it's meant to be a taster of what you'd get in the larger program. And you get a sense of what I like because, I'm on the video and you can see me
Yes.
doing things. But yeah, it's on my website, which I'm sure you'll put all the places. But
I
yeah,
will.
my website is Mind Art Wellness, and there's a link there. And you can also sign up for my weekly newsletter. So I send out coaching tips about wellness, creativity, mindset, that sort of thing.
Great. Yes, I will link all the things in the show notes. Um, anything else that you wanna chit chat about? Anything else you feel like we didn't quite cover?
No, I hope we answered that question off the from the caller all right.
We did at some point,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think you just have to find that price point you're good with, right? Like, I think that's and just, push it till you're just at that edge of uncomfortability and then just push it that little bit more, and
yeah.
then you're there.
And I think, to also bring in, you don't have to be for everybody, you have to be for the right people, and to keep that in the back of your mind that the right people are going to see the value in what you do and pay what you're worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I start every episode with a "Hey coach" question, and I like to end all of my episodes when I have a guest by asking my guest, since we talk about how running a business is basically like a workout, what is one business habit or strength you wish you had developed earlier in your career?
Definitely writing my newsletters ahead of time as opposed to the
Mm.
night before.
I I totally relate.
And I'm getting better, but
Yeah.
there are some times where it's like, it'll sneak up on me. So I am trying to get better, but yes, I would say that's something, and that's true of blogs, it's true of like any writing content, try to get ahead of it, I would
Yeah.
say.
And it sounds like you've actually implemented that.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly. Okay, well, we don't have to know any different.
Exactly. Let's say, 90% of the time it's working.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, this has been a pleasure to chat with you. And, yeah, like I said, I'll link all of the ways to get in touch with Lexi in the show notes, including the 5-day creative reset challenge link. And yes, if you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, leave a review, share it with every single person you know. Nope, just the right people. I don't need to be for everybody. And we'll see you next time.